Hello and welcome. I am Philip. I'm here at 64 Audio. We're going to be doing another unboxing and a little bit of a product review of our Fourté Blanc. For any of you joining us for the first time, we are 64 Audio. We've been making universal and custom fitting earphones since 2010. Folks like professional musicians, audio engineers, singers, audiophiles, music enthusiasts, gamers, all kinds of people who are trying to get the most out of their music have been trusting our products for a while now. And they are really resting on our four key pieces of patented technology, things like Apex technology, TIA, linear impedance design or LID, and our 3D fit process in the custom IM world. So that's a little bit about us. There's a lot to learn. If you're interested in learning more about what we do and kind of where we've been and what we're up to, visit our blog or look at some of the other YouTube videos. We've tried to kind of preemptively answer as many questions as we possibly can. I worked in customer service for a while, everybody else and our team has as well. And so we've tried to kind of accumulate all of those questions and try to answer as much as we can throughout our public mediums like YouTube and Instagram and all those kind of things. So today we are doing another unboxing. We've done a few of them so far. I believe we've done 8 for our current IMs. We are doing Fourté Blanc today. Actually, when this video publishes, we'll probably have 9 publicly available universal in-ear monitors, which is really interesting. But today, Fourté Blanc. So to get into it really quick, Fourté Blanc is the second reinterpretation of the kind of world-renowned Fourté IM. Originally, when it was released, we called it TIA Fourté, but kind of along the way, we've just limited it, call it Fourté, and make it a little bit easier, which is the world's first fully tubeless IM, and that was kind of the introduction of our TIA technology. And it was also the introduction of our kind of classic ergonomic aluminum shell that you'll see across all of our universal IEMs. All of our shells are milled out of solid aluminum billet, and you get, extreme durability, obviously, but also actual comfort, and, it has a good feel to it as well. But Fourté was a few firsts for us, a few firsts for the in-ear monitor world. If you want to learn more about Fourté and TIA, we did a blog post about it where we went into pretty significant detail on kind of the inception of that. Essentially, it's just rests on the idea of tubeless in-ear audio. That's what TIA stands for. And it is comprised of our direct radiating drivers, or what we call our TIA drivers. You'll hear me refer to them as TIA drivers. The single sound bore, so all of the audio coming through one hole at the end of the in-ear nozzle or the canal, and then using internal structures to tune the sound of the IM. So with, air volume control with small openings throughout the shell, with even things like passive radiators, we're able to use the body of the actual physical structures within the shell, or what we call our microacoustic chambers, to tune the sound of the IM. Fourté released 2016. In 2019, we released Fourté Noir, which was a little bit of a reinterpretation of it, mainly a little bit more of a warmer tone, and frankly, identical across the rest of the spectrum, as well as a couple upgrades, like an upgraded cable, so lower resistance 8-braid cable that came out with it. It was terminated in 2.5 balanced and on the source end, and we also shipped it with an adapter for folks who wanted the kind of standard 3.5 millimeter single-ended. We decided to do it again with Fourté Blanc. So Fourté Blanc is a high-end 4-driver universal in-ear monitor. It is also a hybrid in-ear monitor, so it uses a combination of different types of drivers, like dynamic driver, balanced armature drivers, and our patented TIA drivers. And it's a 4-way crossover, so each one of those drivers is handling its own band of frequencies, lows, low mids, high mids, and highs. We'll go through some of the specs really quick. Impedance is 10 ohms at 1K. Now, Fourté Blanc and Fourté, as well as U18T and A18T, do not have our linear impedance design, so it is not a linear impedance, and thus is fairly picky when it comes to its source. We'd recommend something at a relatively low output impedance at the headphone stage. Anything below 0.5 ohms should be good. Anything above that, you might start to hear it affect the frequency response. We like to use the products that we carry on the website, like RME's desktop DAC or some of the AudioQuest Dragonfly DACs. Frequency response, 5 hertz to 22K kilohertz. Sensitivity is 114 dB at 1K, so fairly sensitive. And then the isolation, which is kind of coupled with our Apex technology, is fixed at minus 20 dB. So you'll see in our other products the interchangeable Apex modules, which allows you to kind of mess with the pressure relief as well as kind of tune the IEMs slightly differently. With this one, it's relatively the same as the M20 module. So minus 20 dB of noise isolation. So let's get into kind of the inception of Fourté Blanc. A development in the R&D department which lowered the distortion and improved the linearity of the low frequency band is what really kicked off our journey into Fourté Blanc. So the low frequency driver in Fourté, Neo, N8, they use an acoustical low pass filter. So what it does is, instead of using electrical low pass filter like U18S, A18S, A4S, so rather than crossing over the high frequencies prior to the driver producing them, we implement an acoustical solution. So that's typically, either a filter inside of the tubes, or in the case of a product like Fourté, where there are no tubes, it uses something that covers the membrane or covers the diaphragm of the driver, a membrane that covers the diaphragm of the driver. And that is perforated in order to constrain the airflow and kind of the air volume that's coming out of there. And it allows for the low frequencies to pass through and not the higher frequencies. And we tune it to a particular range. Don't ask me much more about how that works. I'm sure you guys will talk about it in the comments, but that's something for the engineers to kind of get into. I just know that it works, but we were able to improve it. Originally, it was a Kapton membrane that was perforated and then later turned to an aluminum membrane, again, that was perforated. And what we found was that at certain higher volumes, the air turbulence and some other factors led to a little bit of distortion once you, like I said, get to higher volumes and there's a lot of air movement. And we found that upgrading it with a precision engineered textile mesh cover, we were able to effectively cross over the low frequency band. So, introduce that low pass filter and reduce the distortion, improve the linearity in turn. So that was kind of what led to Blanc. And so Blanc being the, natural kind of place to go from Fourté Noir, which was an all black shell, we decided to create an all white shell. So let's get into opening it up, checking it out. The first thing is what you'll notice is the packaging. This is a lot different from what you're used to seeing in our product range currently, which are, black magnetic boxes with a black sleeve and the product on the front of them, and then like a wire frame kind of exploded view on the back. We wanted to do something really special with this, really set it apart from the other products. So we went with this more kind of elegant and simplified solution for Blanc. We understand that audiophiles and kind of enthusiasts in all realms like to keep packaging for things, whether it's buying and selling or sending stuff back to the manufacturer for repair. They like to keep the packaging, as most of you probably do, but you end up keeping it, in an attic or in a closet somewhere. We thought with this, why not make it something that you might be okay with leaving out, something that you could even, for example, put on a bookshelf, right? So this is the material we ended up using. We work with a company called Premier Press out in Portland, Oregon, which is right across the river from us. It is a textile blended with a hard paper. So each unit really has a unique look to it because each unit has a particular pattern to the textile and it has a really great feel to it. It feels great in the hand. It looks great kind of on a bookshelf, and each one is hand pressed. So the white lettering is pressed in by hand, or I should say by foot. The machine is operated by your foot, but each one is placed there and one person went through and, pressed all the lettering for each one of the sleeves. So whether it's with the pattern of the textile in the front or the lettering, little details, little imperfections kind of give each Blanc user an exclusive experience. So that's pretty cool. And we still have that QR code on the back. It'll take you to the product page in case you want more specific info. There's that. We'll take another look at the front from this angle. Nice, square it up. Cool. Right, let's open it up. And by the way, the 1 of 500, each one says 1 of 500, and it is grammatically correct. We made sure to write it in a way so that it's true, but we couldn't custom print every single unit. So this is, who knows what number out of 500, but it is 1 of 500. So you can't fault us there. Let's open it up. So, and another thing that makes this a little bit more special, it's a tiny detail, but the paper on the inside is also green. So you don't get the kind of white borders that you would get if we went with a little bit of a cheaper process. The inside is also green. It's kind of a cool little detail. Our magnetic box in white, as opposed to the black one for the other products, situated similarly where the earphones are down in the bottom section of the case, and then the tips and stuff are in the top section of the case. We'll take this out. It is pretty snug. There we go. Got the sticker down there. And then the top, the lid of the case, which has our ear tips. And then we have t-shirt clip, one of the cables, we'll get into that in a minute, and the cleaning tool. Close this up, leave it here to be pretty. So if you've seen any of our other unboxing videos, or you're used to kind of our range of products, you've seen them in the wild, you'll notice that each one of them come with our premium cable. Blanc is different. On the other hand, it's our only IEM that comes with the pearl color of the premium cable. It's a really low impedance, I believe 0.23 ohm cable, silver plated copper, really great ergonomic feeling. It looks great. It has a good kind of thickness to it. It feels great on the ear, and it has, without a memory wire, it has the kind of built-in shrink wrap kind of that feeds it around the ear nicely. Really great cable, branded obviously on the bifurcation and the single-ended side. Another really cool thing about Blanc is it comes with two cables. So it comes with the single-ended cable that all of our products come with. Then it also comes with an exclusive kind of overbuilt, over-engineered cable. And that's kind of what you'll see across the entire product of Blanc. Is we went above and beyond in every aspect that we possibly could. Whether it's the internal stuff or the shell, everything, we tried to go as big as possible. So with the extra cable, it is a pure silver core, pure silver shielded balanced cable. So here, I'll just put this down. So you'll notice that it is not this 3.5 millimeter single ended, but it is the 4.4 millimeter balanced connection. So for all the folks that have balanced sources, this one will be the one for you. All custom machined metal parts. So the source end, the barrel connectors, and then the bifurcation piece right here, as well as all being branded. Like I said, it's another really low impedance cable, so nothing that will change your frequency response in any significant way from what it's intended. Pure silver shield, which is actually, not just a floating shield, it's actually connected to the source end. Pure silver shield acts as sort of a Faraday cage, which is effective against electrical fields as well as reflecting electromagnetic radiation. Everything that we can do to just keep that line of transmission as clean as possible. With factors like cables and some of the more esoteric audiophile stuff, a lot of the kind of changes and stuff are arguable, of course, and we're all aware of that. It is a good sounding cable. I think they both really sound excellent, and there's not really a ton of difference between the two. But like I said, we went above and beyond. We try to make this as exhaustive of a development as possible. So we went with the best possible cable we can come out with at the time. So yeah, I think you'll really like this cable. I mean, it looks great. It feels great. There's more detail on the Fourté Blanc blog post. There's a cutaway of the cable that shows kind of how it's all braided together. It shows the core, it shows the shielding, all that kind of stuff. But it's really great. And of course, the ear tips. It comes with our 3 types of ear tips. The foam ear tips, which are kind of a custom blend of ours. The True Fidelity, these are what we call the True Fidelity foam tips. We have the wide nozzle silicone tips, and then we also have the spin fit tips, which they make for us in this black color, but they have the different colors that indicate the sizes. So depending on what you want as far as comfort, but also what you want as far as tone and frequency response, the tips will all kind of give you a little bit of a different flavor. With Blanc, I personally like the wide bore, kind of wide nozzle silicone tips. I think that gives me it's kind of what the intended frequency response is, but it's also what I prefer. I prefer that, neutral sound that these give. They don't really affect the sound of the IEMs at all. You don't have to touch on the cleaning tool or the shirt clip. That's kind of self-explanatory. Although I always like to mention the shirt clip does wonders for microphonics on your cable. Just attach it to the cable, attach the shirt clip somewhere, near your face so that there's a little bit of slack to your cable. That way you won't hear a ton of, movement and stuff like that in the rest of the cable. It decouples it, so to speak. And so we get to the IEMs. So we get to Blanc. Here it is. There's that view. I'll move these. Let's try this view. You'll notice the faceplate, obviously the first thing, similar to Fourté Noir, similar to 18T, U18T, that is. It is a copper, it's a piece of copper, what we call the chip. And the aging process is somewhat simulated artificially so that we can get that patina. I believe it's some sort of an acid wash that we do to it. That each faceplate chip is a unique look. No 2 faceplates will look alike. So every Blanc, like I said, is an exclusive experience. All 500 of them are. And this one's a little bit different. We've domed the chip a little bit more so that it plays with the light a little bit more than usual. So you'll kind of notice that difference between Blanc and some of the other copper patina chips that we've done. I'll pull these out. Now, the white shell is kind of a pretty cool story in and of itself. Most of our shells, we create the colors by anodizing them. With some of the colors that we use, anodizing is fairly difficult, like with the solid black ones for U18S, for example. We have to anodize them twice to get that kind of just blacked out color. But with white, we couldn't achieve that color with anodizing. That's not something that can be achieved with that process. So what we decided to do was ceramic coating. While we were exploring vendors and stuff like that, we weren't able to get quite the consistency that we wanted in the white shell. We wanted this pristine white. I don't know if you notice it from the video, but they're just like this beautiful porcelain white that really can only be achieved with ceramic coating. And we just couldn't, there was a little too much variability in what we were seeing. So we were forced to pretty much make our own ceramic coating process in-house. That's all done downstairs. So the mixture is a custom mixture. They're sprayed after being anodized, of course. That T6061 Kaiser aluminum is anodized, a clear anodized coat, and then sprayed and baked at a really high temperature in order to kind of solidify all of those components. I mean, they feel incredible. It's a different tactile feeling than any of the other products just because of that coating. It adds a layer of insulation and a little bit more durability because of that coating. On top of the dynamic driver upgrades, which, really are kind of the key difference here between this and Fourté Noir. Apart from the upgrades in the low frequency band by updating the low pass filter on the dynamic driver, the internals of Blanc are also upgraded. We've done everything we possibly could to upgrade every single variable that was available to us, starting with the cord that's used, the wire, that's used from the connector to the low frequency driver, which is the first point in the signal path. It is a pure copper made by Cardus here in Oregon, the purest copper cable you could possibly find. And it complicates the production process because it's a solid copper wire, and we have to maneuver it a lot more than some of the other products in our manufacturing line. But like I said, we wanted to go above and beyond, and that includes upgrading the solder to Mundorf Silver Gold. The Mundorf solder also kind of complicates the production process a bit. We have to remove the solder from the driver's solder pads first, and then put that new solder on them, and then continue to solder the rest of the wiring as well. And it has a little bit of a higher melting point, so it makes that a little bit more difficult, but it's worth it in the end to make something that's, incredibly upgraded as in every aspect we possibly could. So there's Blanc. It's beautiful looking. I'll put the cable on there for everyone to see. I'll put some tips on there. As far as the sound goes, it is, like I said, a little bit warmer than the original Fourté. If you've heard Fourté, either, you own one or heard one at a store or a trade show. It sounds really similar to Noir, although it does have those upgrades in the low frequency band. Other than that, it's kind of the TIA technology coupled with the Apex technology that really gives Fourté and Fourté Blanc in turn the soundstage that we've become known for, that extremely open and, almost out of head experience that you get because of those two components. The lows are deep. They're not kind of punchy or overbearing in any sense, but they're there. It's a dynamic driver, so you get that deep kind of pillowy bass when there is that in the mix. The low mids are there, not in a sense of, like I said, punchiness, but there's that snappiness to the lower mid band. The upper mids and the mids have the transient response that you'd want out of something that's really resolving, something as resolving as Fourté Blanc. And of course, the highs are that classic TIA high frequency extension and smooth high frequency response. I personally actually, let's put these on. I'll show you guys what they look like. I'm not going to listen to them like I did in some of the other videos, but here's what they look like on a giant head. We'll do a profile shot. There's that one. And you'll notice this is not one of those models that we make that is really stealthy like some of the products that we've done in the last couple of years, like Duo or U6T or U18S. This is a really kind of striking IEM. It's something that you'll notice from quite a ways away. And as it should be, it's a really special IEM, and there's only 500 of them. And I believe we've sold out of all of them to our resellers. By the way, I forgot to mention, it is a dealer exclusive product. So it is our first product where you can only get it at one of our resellers, dealers, distributors kind of globally. So yeah, here's Fourté Blanc. Go check it out for yourself if you can. There should still be some folks in our global dealer distributor network that should have them in stock still. It's really great to see in person, great to feel them. The packaging, the whole experience is really unique to Fourté Blanc. And I think you will own a piece of 64 audio history with this release. So if you can, go check one out for yourself. Here it is, Fourté Blanc.